what effect has weightlifting had on your life, whether it's purely physical or it's leaked over into other aspects? What has it meant for you to build new mental models through weightlifting?
Yeah, I mean, I basically had two kind of like main like fitness and athletic chapters in my life, and one was road crew in high school, and for the last for basically 2 years with Zach, like did a lot of lifting, and it's just so it is so helpful to see and feel like physical versions of like the compounding and the long term effort and the like daily the results of the daily grind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think like, I can talk about some of the mental models. Like that's the kind of the big picture of it. I think like I followed a pretty like bodybuilding kind of protocol, when I was doing it. And so it was workouts, it was diet, it was scale, like weighing every food and like being precise to the calorie and to the, down to the almond
Yeah.
of like what you were eating, which is something I had never done before. And like learning the benefits of like true precision there is kind of key. The benefits of just like recording every set, recording every meal, leaving like what it feels like to work in a system where there just isn't room for error.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you measure and track and adhere to all of the like pre-decided inputs and outputs, like you can't mess it up, and there's no room for willpower. There's no room for like confusion or mistakes or whatever. There is just like, you turn yourself into a computer, you write a program, here's your program, here's your workout, here's your diet, here's your sleep, here's your water, here's your vitamins, like do this. And then like you either did it or you didn't do it. And like, I'm not a person who's going to not do it if I decided that I'm going to do it. And then once you're doing it, you're like, oh, holy shit, this works. Like, I'm definitely going to keep doing this. At that level, it's a ton of time and it's a ton of work, and it has to be like the most important thing that you're doing. But I like the chapter where you do that, like where it is the most important thing in your life and you do see the results that come from it, makes you understand all the levers really. And like, you don't, I no longer like weigh every meal and record everything. But I do 80% of what I did there, like just kind of by habit and momentum now. And it put me in a completely different place than where I was before. So I think there's something about like feel like understand where your limit is, like know what it's like to work at your absolute capacity, and put something as your absolute number one priority in life for a while and see how much you learn and where your new default is after that, knowing that you can't do that forever, but do it for 3 months, do it for 6 months, and like see how that feels.
Yeah. It's crazy how connected. It's crazy how much lifting weights has taught me about creating content, because weightlifting side by side with trying to develop velocity as a pitcher playing baseball, I would see, okay, if I do all the things like you were saying, on this list, check, 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 whether you feel like you wanted to do it that day or whether you could not be bothered by the weight room. If you do this, you will see improvements, and then seeing that over a long period of time, and then pairing that with velocity and seeing that, okay, if I get stronger, my velocity is also going to go up. So not only am I just lifting weights because I want to look better and get stronger and be sexier or whatever your goals are, I'm also going to make myself better as a baseball player. And that was really the first skill or activity in my life where I saw, okay, you can put in these inputs into what you're doing, keep adjusting those inputs depending on what's working for you, what's not working for you, going stronger certain weeks, recovering other weeks. And that all applies to something like writing a book. I assume you were able to apply some of those fundamentals to writing books, and I feel the same way in podcasting and recording audio in that sense. I feel like sticking to those inputs will you have no choice but to see long-term improvements. And then there are also kind of those valleys where you have to back off a little bit because you're feeling burnt out, and if you want to do something for 10 years, this is not the way to do it. So maybe I need to back off a little bit, so I can keep doing it long term and keep myself excited about it. Okay, now maybe I'm done with that recovery period. That was like a light deloading week. Now I need to get back into it, and this is where I need to, put up some fucking numbers and actually, this is like a strength week. This is like a max week, or this is kind of a maintenance week, or this is a rest week. Like to see how that all applies to content in some sense is really cool looking back on my baseball career. And it sounds like for you, it's also been a source of input, output, recognition.
Yeah. I mean, I think to some extent, like, this is a little bit like we were talking about before. Like there are some lessons that, like, once you learn, you can apply it anywhere in your life, right? Like the ideas of showing up every day and like doing today's work today, gets you a long way. The idea that, like, whatever you do, you got to be willing to do it for a long time. And like, that's where the results are going to come from, is like commitment over a long period of time, and changing your expectations so that, like, you expect to get a 6-pack in a week. Like, it's not going to happen. The saying in startups is like, you overestimate what you can do in a year and you underestimate what you can do in 10 years. You look at a company like Airbnb that's actually like 11 or 12 years old. Like, that is not a long time to build a huge company, but you can't do it in a year. And I think it's the same thing with fitness. People like expect to be shredded in a month, and like, you're probably not gonna be, but like, you can be in like 10 months. And that's not a long time either. Like, when you look back at the end of that 10 months, it's gonna feel like it went by instantaneously. It might feel long while you're doing it and learning new habits and like struggling through some workouts, but like also you'll be, proud of your daily progress, and that's all you got to do is like do your day's work that day.
Yeah. And